So today I'm going to be talking about personality disorders, not specific ones, but personality disorders in general and the levels of functioning within personality disorder spectrum. Hello, I'm Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. I am a licensed therapist. I've been practicing for 14 years and have my own private practice. But let's go ahead and get into the video now. Most of us fall somewhere on the spectrum. We might be at the lower end, but we have like one trait or two that pops up at certain times, but it's not all the time. So a lot of us fall somewhere on the spectrum, and a lot of us either are out here overdiagnosing or underdiagnosing people in our everyday lives. And I just thought this might be helpful in terms of understanding the levels of severity and when it's called a personality disorder and when it's not. Okay, first there's the lower level. This can also be called the neurotic level. It kind of doesn't matter. Let's just stick to lower. If you're somewhere around here on the spectrum, you might have a personality disorder trait, because we all do. We all have one here and there at least. But it's not extreme like it would be when you fully get into like a fully diagnosable territory. It's super context dependent, like specific moments, very specific triggers. It's not all the time. Because the big thing about personality disorders is it chronic? Is it happening across the lifespan? Is it happening repetitively in all situations, or at least most situations? Is the person at peace with this part of themselves, or are they at odds with it in terms of like self-reflection? Do they self-reflect and think, I don't like this part of myself, or do they not do that? So does it fit with who they think they are, or does it not? The more it fits with who you think you are, the more that trait fits with who you think you are and you're not interested in changing it, the more disordered territory you're getting into. At this level, at the lower level, your life's not wholly impacted. You still are functioning really well, maybe at work and your relationships. Just overall, like you have some things here and there, but overall you're functioning relatively well and getting through life and doing what you need to do. Like at this level, you could see something like someone's stubbornly positive, and it can be irritating to other people. And that's like a defense they have. They have a defense against negative. But however, if you talk to them and you say, that's really getting to me right now and it's not what I need, they would say, okay, I understand. I get it. I need to put that down for a bit. Like there's still that kind of malleability, flexibility. At this level, you might see someone have a personality style, but it would not be considered a personality disorder. So you can have like a depressive style of functioning where there's not a lot of good you really want to let in or that you seek out. Not a lot of good feeling you want to let in or seek out, but you will. You'll push yourself and you'll still do it. And you'll go kind of do the things you need to do in order to deal with those depressive feelings. Again, wouldn't be considered a disorder because it's not chronic. It's not super, super repetitive in all areas of life. And as a therapist, these are types of people where I can point out what's going on and what I see in their patterns of behavior, and they would be able to take it in and do something with that. Over time, at least. So for example, this could be something like the really self-critical perfectionist person, which could be me. Like someone who feels really intense anxiety and really intense guilt when they make any kind of mistake, and then they really beat themselves up for it. But they're aware that they do that. And they're aware of it to the point where they want to try to do something about it, and they actively do try to do things about it because they understand how it's getting in the way of their life. And it's getting in the way of one particular area of their life, and they don't want that to continue. But it's like a person might feel this at work, but maybe not in their relationship at home, and maybe not in their friendships, for example. So it's really kind of limited to a specific space. Or this is like the very attached friend, or like two friends who really stick together, pretty dependent on each other. They really like having each other around to do this, this, and this. They might really get hung up on if someone's responding or not, or are they mad at me, and that kind of thing. And that still falls within the range of what would be considered just a normal neurotic person. Their self-esteem can fluctuate depending on what might be happening with a person, but overall they can kind of stabilize it. And again, they're aware of it and they seek help in whatever way for dealing with it. Then there's the intermediate level, which is where we would start to diagnose with a disorder. You really start to see it be chronic. It's been happening across their lifespan. It's repetitive in all areas of their life. Like you see it kind of pop up. It's like how they behave in one area is how they behave everywhere. There's a real lack of insight or awareness about their behavior, so there's not a lot of interest in changing it. And if that were my patient, I might say a lot of things to help them have insight or help them understand what they're doing and how it's getting in the way in their life. And it would kind of just slip right off. It wouldn't really get in. I might be able to make some headway with some pieces of life and some areas of life and make it better than what it was. But a lot of the time, there's like you start to see a real stubbornness against self-reflection. Here you will see lots of extreme emotions and affect. Can be all over the place, can be really labile. You're going to see more addictive behaviors here, like more intense addictive behaviors where you see that someone clearly the substance might be messing up all areas of life. Continue to use anyway, like it could be a mother or a father who sees how it's affecting their family and their career and all of that, and they still continue to use anyway. And they might continue to think they don't have a problem. And so like self-sabotage and self-destructiveness are a lot more apparent at this level. You start to see a level of denial here where you're wondering kind of if you're with them, if you're in the same reality, if you can see the same things, if this person will be quick to like take something that they're doing or they're feeling and project it onto someone else and think they're the one doing it. And there's no changing their opinion on that. There's no changing their mind on that. And you'll see a lot more passive aggressiveness to manage like really intense anger and rage, frustration, or envy. This can be like a volatile romantic partner where this is a person who can swing between like they really love you or they want to get all the way away from you. And so they're often swinging between total love and total feelings of abandonment. And if they feel hurt or abandoned, they might respond with rage. They're going to struggle to have like a stable sense of self and have a hard time kind of thinking about where they end and someone else begins. Like that's not, like kind of in their minds, that's not so clear, which is how they end up doing so much projecting. So in their relationship, they're going to have lots of highs and lows, lots of breakups maybe, and lots of back and forths in that way. They just have a hard time managing like the intense emotions. And at the higher level, this also can be called the psychotic level. This is where in a personality disorder spectrum, people really do start to look like their defenses are so rigid now. Like that denial is so rigid, that projection is so rigid that they look on the outside to people like they are delusional. They look like it really, now this is really like you really are living in a different reality, it seems like, than I am. But they have no awareness of it whatsoever, and they don't really intend to have any awareness of it. There's really no getting through on that level. So it is very chronic, very repetitive, deeply, deeply embedded in them, and every part of their life is very affected. You know, and in their own minds, they might remain blameless for all of that. And you kind of look like, what? This is where you'll see a lot of black and white, like pretty constant black and white thinking. Like they might contradict themselves all over the place with no awareness, or overgeneralized thinking where like say they go on one bad date and they're like, people are awful, I'm never going on a date again. And they don't mean it in like that light joking way that some of us might mean it. They really believe now, the world is horrible. I'm not doing that again. And you can't really reason with them on that. Like there's no getting through. And again, that would be happening in every area of their life. You'd see them at the deli. You'd see this come out at the deli. You'd see this come out at work. You'd see this come out at Target. You'd see this come out in their main relationship, if they have a main relationship. In all of their friendships, relationships with kids too. We also move into things like paranoia, like very intense paranoia, where they really do feel like people are out to get them. You get into more like sociopathic, psychopathic territory here, where there really is no empathy at all, and that part of their minds is so shut down that they just don't even access that. There might be a lot as if stuff. They act as if they're a good parent, or act as if they're functioning at work, or act as if they love you. And they don't feel concerned at all about the fact that it's kind of pretend. This is where you'll get more schizotypal, more schizoid, and like more psychosis. Now, if I were to think sort of like about a patient I've had like this, it's like it didn't matter what I said to him ever. He believed it made total sense to stalk every woman he dated. And he would. He would frequently show up unannounced at their house, or he would put trackers on cars and things like that. And it didn't really matter how much we talked about it or processed it. He's still going to do it. He might even pretend with me in session like he understands, and we're going back in time and we're thinking about, hey, where might this come from, and what might you really be responding to from your past, or acting out from your past, stuff like that. It's more like water off a duck's back. And he really continues to believe what he believes. Their minds are so fragmented. It's not like a different kind of mind, there might be coherence and a flow between like this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened and this is how we got to this point. Their minds are more fragmented, a lot more fragmented. And so this thing isn't connecting with this thing and this thing. So they're just kind of limited in their decision making and seeing the full picture, and definitely in self-reflection. They really don't do that. You really don't see that at all. That's that on that for today. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this kind of content, because that's what I'll be doing.